Hello everyone, Caroline here. Today I want to show you a watercolor technique for some backgrounds, and I'm using mixed media paper. This one here is from Wikibooten. It's very thick, smooth cardstock. I also gonna use watercolor markers for this technique. I have watercolor markers from different brands. I have the Wikibooten ones, then I have the Jane Davenport ones, and I also have some from Nuvo Studios or Tonic Studios. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna also use some pixie powders with my watercolor to give it some shine. And again, I have the Cosmic Shimmer powders and also two of the Nuvo Shimmer powders, so you can use whatever liquid watercolor you have or powders and recreate this. Now I'm using here three colors, and I'm staying in the color family. So I'm using a yellow, I'm using kind of a pink, an orange, and I'm gonna drip this onto my craft mat here. And then I'm using my water, and I'm just adding water to this. And I also add some water to my paper, and then I'm just smooshing the cardstock into my color here. And because I don't want to waste any of the ink, I'm just using some scrap pieces of paper that I've laying around and pick up that leftover water, leftover pigment with the water. Then I'm just taking off the excess here and also a little bit on the side. And now I'm adding more water to this, and this will also react because those watercolor markers react with water. And then I'm choosing a variety of Cosmic Shimmer powder, and for this background or for this color combination I'm using a copper and actually a copper and a yellow and a gold. So I'm staying again kind of in the color family, and I'm just adding this randomly to my background here. And then I'm using my water, and I'm just adding this to my powders, and as you can see, the powder reacts with the water. I'm just using my fingers and working the powder into my water here. Now I'm adding more color drops and let this run. And this is a nice technique because you can just play with the water and with the colors. There is no really no how needed to do this, and the effects are very unique. And it's so much fun to see how the colors work with each other. Now I'm having a lot of water on my paper here, and that's fine. Now for the next step, I'm using I have a bottle with rubbing alcohol and a little pipette, and I'm just dropping the alcohol onto my water here. And as you can see, where the alcohol meets the water and the pigment, it just goes away from the alcohol. and it gives those almost those cell structures. Now when I'm okay with it, with the result, I'm just picking up the excess water with a little paper towel. And then I either let this air dry, or I'm going to use my heat tool. In this case, I'm using my heat tool, and here you can see the result, and you have this beautiful shimmer effect with a watercolor, and it almost has this alcohol ink effect, I would say, where you see those randomly pooled areas. So this is the first background. Now I'm doing another one, and this time I'm using another color combination. Here now I'm using a yellow and a turquoise and kind of a green mint color, and I'm doing the same here, again using my water. And again, I'm wetting my paper first, and then I'm smooshing this on and pick it up, and you can see how the color flows on the paper. And again, I'm picking up the leftover with some scrap papers that I have, because I don't want to waste my ink. And these scrap pieces are great for die cutting, or for little cards, or for tags. Now I'm adding again some color here. I'm dripping in more turquoise, and I'm also dripping in more of the yellow, and this time I'm using a darker yellow. This is more like a sun yellow, and the other one is more like a lemon yellow. And as you can see, you can get different effects when you're just dripping the watercolor from your brush in, instead of like a big blob. And again, I'm using a lot of water, and now I'm putting in my powders. And here, this is a new shimmer powder, and this is cosmic shimmer, and this is the bronze. And I have a little bit left over powder here that I'm gonna pick up with one of my scrap pieces, because I don't want to waste that either. So now that I have this powder on, I'm adding more water, and I'm using again my fingers to manipulate the pigments and the water. Get some cool effects going. Now you could already use this like this, and let it just dry. This will look awesome, but again, I'm gonna use my rubbing alcohol, and I'm gonna add this to this background. Here I'm just picking up a little bit of the water, and then I'm coming in with my rubbing alcohol, and this time I'm using just the dispenser from my little bottle here, and this will give me smaller droplets, and you can see how the pigment just goes away from that alcohol and gives this very cool effect. And sometimes I put a little bit more where I'm thinking I want it a little bit more smoother. I'm just adding more water and using my fingers. And then again, you can either let this air dry or you can use your heat tool for this. And this will take a little while to dry if you let it air dry because it has a lot of water on it. But if you're not in a rush, this I think it looks even nicer if you let it air dry. Because I'm not patient, I'm using my heat tool, and here you can see how the final background looks. We have the shimmer from the bronze and from the pixie powder and this cool effect from the alcohol. Now for my third background, I'm using another color combination. This time I'm using like a blue, dark blue, and then I use a cosmic shimmer powder. This is the fireworks one, which is very dark, but it has sparks of color in it. And I'm doing again the same thing. I'm adding my dark purple almost, and my fuchsia, and then I just have a blue here, and adding my water. And again, I'm add the water to my paper before I push it on the color. And here you can see how awesome this looks. You could actually also stop there if you just want a very wet on wet look for your background. Here again I'm picking up the color, and this is all mixed, and it's like one blue purple background, which is very pretty too. And then I'm just cleaning up the rest, picking up the edges here, and I'm now adding more water, and then I'm adding my cosmic shimmer, the fireworks one. And I am also adding some blue here. And I'm using also some purple. And then I have this white cosmic shimmer. This is literally only like a pearl color. And I'm adding my water. Here you can see the different colors, how they run. I'm using again my fingers here and moving the paper back and forth to create some patterns. And then I'm picking up some of the water and going in with my rubbing alcohol again. And again, I love those effects, and I'm putting in a little bit more of the pearl color here. And I'm gonna dry this, and here you can see how this looks when it's dry. You have all this shimmer, pearl shimmer from the pixie powders, and I love this effect. And here's the finished background. Now here I'm gonna show you all the backgrounds again in detail. That's the last one we did, and then here is the one with the green and the yellow and the bronze color, and then the first one, which is this orange, yellow, golden one. Now what let me show you what I did out of these backgrounds, so you have an idea what you can do with them. So like I did this card with my first background, and as you can see, this is a 5 by 7 card. So I used the die that I have in my stash, and I am showing you this. This is this designer die from Tonic, and I cut just the top and the bottom of my my background, and then on top I laid the white cardstock that I cut out and some flowers, and behind this whole thing I have white cardstock that I embossed with an embossing folder from Anna Griffin. And then for some embellishing I just used some ribbon, and I also used this particular sanding hacks from another Tonic craft kit that I have in my stash. And I cut this out with some rose gold holographic cardstock. Now for my second card, I have this square card that I did, and here I wanted more kind of a magical effect, and I used this butterfly in this white, and I used this white butterfly in contrast to the background, so I really wanted to stand out. And then and this is a die from Memento, and then I have a frame that I cut out, a frame die, and this frame die comes from Craft Consortium and is this a lacy square, and I just cut that out and glued this on top with my 3D butterfly in the middle. And then I added a little sentiment, use your wings, and I stamped it in white on a little piece of black cardstock. And this sentiment actually comes from this tiny text stamp collection from Tim Holtz. And I really love that I can create cards without really having any pattern paper. I just use my backgrounds and my dies and everything that I have in my stash. So that was my second part. So for my third card, I used this green yellow background, and I also used some flowers that I had in my stash that I created with this heartfelt creation die and stem set, and this mold that I have laying around for a while. And I thought, well, this would be a great background to add those flowers to. So I stamped and colored my flowers. And I also have this die, which is a die from Studio Light, and I cut it out in white and added on top of my background. And then I added also a sentiment on top to finish up my card. And in this case I used a sentiment that came from this Fun Stampers Journey, and I used this Nurture Your Dream. So, and again, no pattern paper needed. So I love that I create cards where I really do my own really unique papers. So here you can see all the 3 cards again. I hope I gave you some inspiration and you give this a try, and get out your watercolors and your stash dies and stamps that you have, and create some beautiful cards. Bye!